don't think we should be allowed, like... I don't think we should be allowed loose in the world.
Probably not.
Probably
I don't think
not.
the world is ready for us.
No. Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
It is morning for us. I don't know. Some people might not be watching the live stream. If you're watching the live stream, depending on your time zone, good morning to you. Good day. Good afternoon. If you're watching later, good whatever the hell time it is. Mm-hmm. We already have somebody saying hello, and I think I'm going to say this right. Impish. Is it Nico or Nako? But hello.
Impish Nico.
Nico, you see,
Yes.
yeah. I got the impish right.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. Anybody who travels here later, we're going to BS for the next 12 minutes. If you are joining us for the live stream, you've got 12 minutes to get your beverage of choice. Get some breakfast. I can do this. Hi, Ben. Hi, Silent Wing. Hi, Baby Lemon, sir. Yay, here before work.
And Tiny T, good morning.
Tiny T. See, I saw Tiny, and I was like, Tiny Tim? And I knew that could not be right. So, yeah, anybody who's getting to do the live stream when you don't normally get to watch the live stream, we got a little bit of time because we were here early because we were paranoid about technology. 11 minutes. Guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do on camera? My first fucking sip of coffee for the day. I am not caffeinated, so I don't know what's going to happen here. Here we go. We're going to get caffeinated. With my straw. Oh, so good.
I'm so sorry that's your first. This is my...
Third.
Well, 2.5.
Third. We round up in this family. And thank y'all on the shirts. Christy Gets Fit on Instagram. She made these for us. And on the back, you can't see it. Mine says baby girl. And
mine says daddy.
Yes. And we wore it when we went to, we were a vendor at the Woodshed in December, which was wonderful. And they look great with my purple leggings. They also look great with my purple hoodie right now because it's cold by Florida standards.
Yes.
Yeah, so these are...
My hands are cold.
I'm okay. I'm okay for right now. Caitlin's already had their second cup of coffee. Must be nice. Oh, yeah, meetings. Yeah, hopefully we're better the second time around.
Right.
On better viewing on later... I was gonna say it away, and I don't have enough caffeine in my system.
I've got mic droop going on here.
I think they make medications for that now. I'm just saying. I've heard the power of Kegeling is not just for those of us with vulvas. So, get to squeezing is all I got to say. What bullshit do you have?
I don't know. I've just been busting butt in the shop lately.
You have, and I've been busting butt at my computer, getting projects done. Both of us getting projects done for other people, not working on our own projects recently. Oh yes, Caitlin, on the falling iguanas.
Yes.
So I know a little bit more about that because my aunt and uncle used to live in South Florida, and the iguanas are actually kind of a menace. They have the people who live in South Florida actually, I believe, have permission to exterminate them because they literally take over. But yes, it's so cold there. I think it was Master Bobby did a picture up on Twitter about how cold it is in South Florida. It hit 39 for them, which I would consider that cold, and we are not in South Florida. But yes, the iguanas are basically, quote, end of quote, frozen, and they're just falling out of trees and off of roofs.
Well, because they're cold-blooded, so when the temperature drops to a certain extent, they kind of, become immobile.
Yes. Yarn and whiskey, enjoy your errands, and hello and goodbye all at the same time. See, Tiny T hasn't even had their tea yet. So I totally feel you. Ben used the right word. Iguanas are invasive.
Yes.
Yeah, the stories that we were hearing from my aunt and uncle were that they're very intelligent. They'll live on top of a roof, but then they're not going to poop where they sleep, which, that's good advice.
So they hang over the edge of the roof.
They hang their little butts over the edge of the roof, and there's just poop coming down. They told a very funny story about how their condo COA people thought somebody was defecating in the pool, and come to find out it was the iguanas.
Yeah.
After, of course, the nasty grams went out to everybody who lived in the COA.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Ben, we were at probably about being just a little further north of you, I think we were like around 29 this morning.
See, and my phone can never agree with your phone.
Yeah.
And Lorna, I hope we're not keeping you up, but also, hello from.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you are in the area of Australia that is relatively safe from smoke and fires. Yeah. Silent Winged now relates more to iguanas. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I'm angry. Maybe I'm an angry iguana. So I'm having hot flashes. I'm not pregnant. I'm 40. Not that doesn't mean I couldn't be pregnant at 40. What I mean is I think I'm hitting perimenopause. Pre-menopause. It's just, you fucking kidding me? So it's cold, and then I start sweating. Nobody else is sweating, so I yank the covers off or take off a jacket.
I'm laid under 3 blankets, and she's
shivering.
Like, yeah.
And I'm sweating, and so then the hot flash passes, and then I get cold again. So then I pull the covers over, and then I wake up to another hot flash, and then I yank the covers off. I'm cranky in this weather. Hi, Meg. See, you are not the only person from Australia.
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Bubbles. Woo! Yeah, Michigan. Caitlin's in Michigan.
That's Chile.
Yeah, who was it? I could see their face and I can't think of their handle, but if they're watching, they know who they are. Was talking about like a ridiculous amount of snow up in I think Canada.
The game I played, a lot of people from up north in there, and they're talking about, one fellow was saying they got like a little over a foot of snow the other day.
Yeah, some places are getting like a meter of snow.
Yeah.
3 or 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, a meter is almost a yard. Not quite a yard. Somebody who does the... Y'all, we're so American. I know the metric system exists. Yeah. Does that count?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I always forget about it being the different...
Australia is opposite seasons of us.
Yes. Which, and the one when I'm reminded of that, the one time I'm reminded every year, and it's because I have some people that I follow online who are also in Australia, is when we're talking about Christmas and all of us, Northern Hemisphere people are like, "Brr, it's cold," and they're like, "It's fucking hot and it's Christmas Day." I see that. Yeah, Cheeky Meg, I'm not looking forward to the hot flashes in the summer. I'm really not.
Oh, gosh.
And good morning, Carissa.
The AC is not going to be able to keep up with you.
No. My mother has already taught me the trick because she has finally gone through menopause, and she was going through it for a very long time. And she's like, okay, so what you do is you get your own oscillating fan on your side of the bed that just points at you.
Yeah.
And then another... Susan, before she died, she died in 2017, but before she died, she talked to me a lot about those pillows that are like cooling pillows. They kind of stay cool. I was like, okay, I'm definitely getting that. Also, I will just keep working really hard so we can afford that electric bill in the summer for the AC to be cranked. Yikes. Y'all just better put on some socks.
So Silent Wing said 1 meter is 39 inches, so it's a little over
3 feet. Thank you for somebody for knowing the metric system and the conversion.
Yeah. I don't go too far into the metric. I mostly use millimeters because I do a lot of my measuring of wood in millimeters. It's a lot more accurate than... Yeah,
I know. And I remember being in school learning about it, but because I never had to use it in the practical sense after like high school, it's mostly gone. I don't know. Let's see. Infused pillows. Oh, Lord. Yeah, and Meg's right. When you're getting a hot flush, there's only so much you can take off. But, well, no, only one kid's going to be gone this coming summer. The other kid will be home. But hopefully he'll have like a life. And he'll want to go nice. Places. Yeah.
He'll have band camp at one point in the summer. So.
Yeah, but the little one will be back by then. And my mother will be in town by then.
Oh, yeah.
Now, speaking of that, because the person I've witnessed go through the hot flashes and stuff, she would sometimes stand in front of her refrigerator, just open the doors and just stand there. Okay, let's see. We've got 3 minutes of bullshit left. I got other things to say, but I want to say it when the podcast folks can listen.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody ever wonders why I look to the side, I'm actually looking at the monitor that is over there because we don't have a monitor right here. One day when we grow up, we're hoping to either have a camera with a monitor so I can see, or have the monitor next to it.
Well, when we got what we did this year, rather than exchange Christmas presents, we got ourselves a family gift of a new TV.
We did. Smart TV.
And we were going to get rid of the old TV, which is what, a 42-inch?
I don't remember.
Yeah, somewhere like right
Old as
around
fuck,
there.
is all I know.
It's old. It is old, but it does have an HDMI connection. So I kind of niggled in the back of my mind that rather than get rid of it, I put it off to the side, so that way when we have our dedicated office and recording spot, my intention is to maybe hook that up to the computer as a monitor. Then I probably won't have to, look and strain to see the numbers on
Exactly.
Or maybe I'll have new glasses by then. Who
True.
knows?
We are in talks and in conversation to potentially buy a good camera to record not just our regular videos in, but also to live stream from. We've got all of the information for what equipment we would need to have an actual camera, not a webcam, and hook it and live stream and make it work and blah, 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 blah. And so there's some conversations happening between the two of us.
Yes.
And I think a decision will get made after the end of January.
Yes.
So hopefully coming to a screen near you soon, we will be better quality, especially on the live stream days.
Yes.
So we got 1 minute. Beep, 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 1 minute. I'm feeling kind of goofy. Morning, Tom.
Morning, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, these morning, for us morning, because we're time zone, these morning live streams are basically a once a month thing, but we have to decide what we're going to do for the summer when the kids are home.
Yes, I know.
And there's a part of me that's kind of thinking maybe for the summer do a morning one, because then we can go about the rest of our day.
True.
The little one would be up at this time, but the big one would not be up at this time. He would not.
He's got the art of sleeping in.
I know.
Down pat.
So jealous. I'm so jealous.
I ought to be 14 again.
I know, right? Okay. It is 9 a.m. officially, so we will... Don't hit any buttons.
I'm not.
Okay.
Girl.
I love you, Daddy.
Do your thing.
Let's do my thing. We are officially here. The topic for this week is, I actually put it in the title for once because this topic did not scare me. We're going to talk about the difference between micromanagement, which is a style of power exchange, versus 24/7 DS. Yeah, it's kind of that simple. I don't know. Can I fill up a whole hour with that? Probably. I'm going to try not to because I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about as well. But that is the topic, and we are doing it primarily not because we think we have a lot to say on micromanagement, but because there are a lot of people who are very nervous about 24/7 DS because in their heads, that's the same thing as micromanagement, and it is not. Real quick, if you like this video while you're watching it, please give us a thumbs up, that is always helpful. If you have not subscribed to us yet, please do subscribe. We have a little mini goal. We don't know what we're going to do with that goal, but we'd love to get to 2,500 subscribers. Once we do, then my brain can go, what's the next goal? The next goal will be 5,000. We're working on it. So yeah, thumbs up, subscribe. Do you want to tell them? The thing that there was actual debate about last week?
The thing.
I always say give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and you always say, yeah, he's not awake enough yet,
No,
y'all.
I'm not.
What do you always say, Daddy?
Hit the notification bell so you get notifications when we upload new content. Yeah, no, this early morning thing is for the birds.
So maybe we won't do early morning streams during the summer when the kids are home because somebody forgets his line.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And thank you, Carissa, for your kind words. And good morning, Ashley. And Caitlin is talking to you, JB. And good morning, Eva.
You're very welcome, Caitlin.
So we're going to get started. We're going to bring the podcast folk in.
Okay.
And then we'll actually start the actual stuff. Okay, so we are talking about micromanagement versus 24/7 this week. I want to give some disclaimers because I think sometimes it's important to remind people about these things. No matter how we describe our view of micromanagement versus our view of 24/7 DS, that is just one little sliver of an experience on a spectrum of experiences. So, like in micromanagement, I have not lived a micromanaged life. I do not have, do not have the words. Can't even think of the words that I do not have. I do not have it for micromanagement. Can't do it. Not that disciplined. Don't want to be that disciplined. But we have known people who lived those lives, who talked about their experiences, and so that's what we're going to pull from. And then when we're talking about 24/7 DS, we are, of course, pulling from our own experiences primarily. But as with all of these things, it is whatever you make of it.
True.
Now, the reason I wanted to do this episode is not because I think we can teach anybody how to do micromanagement, but because I personally know, get a lot of questions and concerned comments from people who say, we're thinking about doing 24/7, but either the person messaging or their partner is really nervous about it. And first of all, I think that's actually good. Be a little nervous when you want to completely change the dynamic of your relationship. That's a healthy thing, to be a little nervous about it. But from the conversations I have with people, I tend to find that what they're nervous about is what they think 24/7 DS means versus what it can actually be. And what it can actually be is whatever the hell you want it to be. So I thought it'd be good to talk about this a little bit. So we'll start with micromanagement because really what I want to get into is 24/7 because that's my jam, right? So the one thing that comes to mind, and you tell me what you think. Sure. When I think of micromanagement, my mind immediately goes to master-slave, mistress-slave dynamics.
Yes, and that's primarily where I have seen it too. Either that, not too common, but it does kind of slide over into high protocol.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. It's very much a high protocol kind of thing.
Definitely under the master-slave, that is primarily where I have seen it the most. And, while yes, micromanagement's not for everybody, there are a good number of people who do seek that out.
And I think so that while it's primarily a master-slave, is there a better phrase for master-slave? Master to me is not neutral. And I don't want to say MS because then I think of multiple sclerosis. We'll say MS. So for us at least, I primarily think of it as an MS kind of dynamic. It's where you see it most. But non-MS folks, if you have a scene where part of the scene is being really highly disciplined and only doing what you're told as the bottom or the submissive, that's a form of micromanagement. It has a place in kinky fuckery. And I think some of us play with the fantasy of that. And that is in small little bites of it. And that's, for many of us, I think that's probably enough. And then trying to translate it into our real life, it doesn't always work. So micromanagement, from what I have been told about it and witnessed from other people's dynamics, like I said, hadn't done it, not interested, thanks, is truly either being told what to do before you do it, or having so many rules set in place that every action from the bottom or the slave or the submissive is already decided by the dominant, the master, the top. And so that can be, in some examples I've seen, the slave could not even go to the bathroom without first asking.
Correct.
What they wore, what they ate, when they ate a meal, what time they woke up, their routine for the day, everything that was not sort of any part of their vanilla life, like their job, was managed by the master dominant top. Okay. Either through direct verbal, do this now, or, oh, you asked for this, here, I give you my permission, or it's sort of pre-set up. It's negotiated that at this time you're going to do this, and at this time you're going to do that, and there's not a lot of the verbal back and forth. It's already been decided, and so then the bottom or slave or submissive just has to sort of follow those rules. When there's a variation, then they seek permission to do something different outside of the parameters that have already been established for them. In the one couple that I'm thinking of, I think they're still together. I do not know if they're still doing micromanagement is a part of their dynamic. But there were certain things that she just knew what she was supposed to do because they had negotiated all of that. And then everything else was a text message, email, verbal question. May I do this? May I do that? Micromanagement can also be down to as detailed as how you hold your body. Is your head up or your eyes down? Who do you look at? Where do you walk? Where do you stand? How do you sit? How do you kneel? Every single deep micromanagement, every single action is determined by the master dom top.
Right. Now, I don't know if you now, first I just want to say Silent Wing said maybe referred to as owner slave.
Owner slave, thank you. I like that.
Which I do like that
better,
because
yes.
it's a little bit more
inclusive. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Now, I don't know if it's the same couple. I knew a couple years ago that we're in a owner slave relationship. And it was such a thing that she could not even break protocol to talk to him about certain things. And they actually had someone who was designated as a mediator. If either one of them were having any kind of problems, they would actually go to this mediator to work through what was going on in the relationship.
Yes.
Or in the protocols.
That was a different couple I was thinking of.
Okay.
But they were on my mind because of that.
Yes.
So within their dynamic, it was so micromanaged. And if I recall, because we went to a workshop where they were leading the workshop, and what they said was the way the relationship is set up is if the slave consents to be in the relationship, what they consent to is literally having no consent. Everything about their life is then determined by their owner. And that made my butt clench because I cannot imagine it.
Yeah.
She seemed, of course we're only seeing from the outward appearances, and at workshop she seemed very happy. What made me clench a little less was when they talked about how they handle the inevitable problems that are going to come up, the concerns that somebody might have, the disagreements that might occur. And in that situation, it's not disagreements the way I think of them, where I verbally am like, I disagree with you, daddy, right?
Yeah.
It was not handled that way. And all of those things were discussed in great detail before they entered this relationship. So this was not a new dynamic for the top in that situation. This is the kind of relationship he typically has with many different partners. And so he had kind of worked out his system and was able to go into great detail for the slave submissive partner to understand what they were getting into. And then, yes, I felt a little bit better that they had a mechanism in place to deal with stuff.
And all this had been, before they stepped into this, there was a lot of negotiating going on. And also with them, there was also a certain aspect of consensual non-consent.
Yes.
In their relationship as well. So there was a lot of very deep and very intense negotiating that went on in all that before they fully stepped into it. Yes.
So for anybody who is considering micromanagement, if you're like, oh no, actually that sounds like totally my jam, that is the biggest thing. Like every dynamic in a power exchange needs a lot of communication, a lot of conversation, a lot of negotiation, a lot of sort of hammering out the details. But when you go down that path of micromanagement and very high protocol, and every movement means something, and every movement is directed by another person, then you're talking about communication at a degree that I'm not even sure I can handle.
Yeah.
Now it's an ongoing thing. No dynamic can ever work out every single solitary detail before you start. It is something that has to be sort of a living, breathing, growing dynamic. But and there are variations within micromanagement. There are people who do it They do it for a short amount of time. They do it with only specific relationships. They do it while it works for their life. I cannot imagine it, but right now my life is filled with 2 kids and a freelance business. So I truly cannot imagine it. The first couple that we met that did micromanagement, I think like I said, the only time every moment of her day was not completely structured by her owner was while she was at work, but he still had little things that she was supposed to do while at work that kept her in that mindset. But they didn't have kids, and I think at least one of them worked from home, and so there was a lot more freedom. So I think sometimes these things work at certain, if you're interested in them and they intrigue you, I think they work better at certain points of life than they do at other points of life. I have not that I know of, met anybody who's done it for years and years and years and years. I'm not saying it's not possible. Of course it's possible. I think it's a lot of hard work. But I think like anything, once you get into rhythms and patterns and routines, it only looks like hard work to those of us on the outside who are like, holy shit, I could not do that. And like in the live stream, I know there are people who are talking about their experience with it. And that, if you are interested in it, you need to seek those people out. Because one, I am not here to tell you.
Yeah.
One, I would probably be like, are you sure about that?
Well,
But that is the important thing, is to find other experiences so that you can see how broad the spectrum is, even within micromanagement.
Now, somebody mentioned in the live stream about as the owner or master being a lot of work or it being stressful. Being daddy to a vivacious baby girl can be stressful.
Different kind of stress.
Yes.
Well, and that's...
But I think it can be, especially if you're not used to micromanaging.
Right.
And I am not. So for me, that would probably be very stressful.
I would spend more time reminding you of what you needed to do.
Yeah. But I also think that someone who's entering into that type of relationship or dynamic, that too is part of the reason for all the negotiation, for getting everything laid out up front. When it's done that way, it is a tool to make it less stressful,
right,
to make it less work. Now, there are people who are wired that can micromanage.
Right, and can do it well.
Yes.
Many of us have had the boss who could not. We've all met that person at least once in life. Those people do exist. The reason, though, I bring this up, again, is not to get bogged down in what micromanagement is, because I respect the fact that people can do it, and there are people, like I said, in the live stream chat right now who are talking about their own experiences with it. I am so on the side of, yeah, but what about when vanilla life like creeps in, right? So for me, it's definitely, I'm not even good at doing it in a scene.
Yeah.
But the reason I want to talk about it is that responsibility and that stress that you mentioned, that, first of all, there's a responsibility for any power exchange dynamic, just in general. Both sides of the slash have their responsibilities. I think that it's a good sign when somebody who is the dom or top in the power exchange comes at it from can I handle the responsibility? This kind of stresses me out a little bit. It should not be stressful in a really overly negative way. That means there needs to be more conversation about what they think this dynamic is. But part of the stress that I see in the conversations I have with people and the messages we get is that they're stressed out that they won't be able to handle all of the responsibility. And when you dig a little deeper, it's because they think that what they're meant to do in a 24/7 dynamic is micromanage their partner.
Yeah. And see, Pamela brought up a good point. There are some people that thrive on that.
Of course there are. And that is all valid. And yes, what I would like to shift to is for the folks who think that 24/7 is micromanagement. Micromanagement is 24/7. 24/7 is not micromanagement.
True.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
It is one way of doing 24/7.
Right.
Right. So, If you are intrigued by micromanagement and you want to learn more, first of all, please be a little nervous. Please be a little concerned about, can you handle the responsibility? I think that's a wise thing. I think it's wise to go into these new structures and dynamics wondering, can I do it? Mm-hmm. Because then you are not so cocky and so, there's a word, but it's too early in the morning for me. And I haven't had enough coffee. Right? You're not so arrogant that you think you know what you're doing and you just do what you want to do. If there's a little bit of nerves, like I always feel a little bit more comfortable when somebody's a little nervous. Just a little nervous. Not overly nervous. Not so anxious that you can't function. A little nervous. Wondering, can I handle this? Can I do this? I don't know. Usually means you'll start out a little slower. You'll be a little bit more patient. You'll take your time, usually. But with the focus I want to have in today's conversation is the other side. One, because I'm more comfortable on the other side. And two, because that is a thing I see a lot of. Where people are like, oh my gosh, I can't do 24/7 because I think that means micromanagement. No, it doesn't.
No.
I think that for us, and this is where we're going to talk about our experience, and our experience is not the only experience with 24/7. Thank you very much. 24/7 is more a mindset from my perspective than the actions we take.
Yeah, when say 24/7, it's a little bit of a misnomer per se, because it's not a constant 24/7 all the time. I think it's
and see, I would disagree with you.
The implication of it is there. It underlies that it's always kind of there, but it's not like every minute, every day.
And that's where I would disagree with you.
Oh.
Because every minute of every day, you are daddy and I am baby girl. Now, do we have to put on our vanilla personas and I have to be mom or I have to be, lady in grocery store? Yes. And so I'm not walking around talking about my daddy, and I'm not, I'm not, well, I am sometimes getting my hair pulled in the parking lot of a Starbucks, but that's a whole other conversation. And that's where I say
that was a shock to you, wasn't it?
Oh, we will talk about that in a minute. That's why I say it's a mindset. 24/7 can be a mindset, and the actions and the protocols and the rules and the tasks and all that can be important if they are important to you. And there are some that are important to us, and there are some that were important at one time and just aren't anymore. Our lives just are different. But there is never a point in any day where I forget that you are daddy, you are in control, you are the decider. Sometimes I'm the one reminding him that he's the decider. Could he decide, please? But that's where the mindset comes in. Because now, do I sort of push against it sometimes? Sometimes he rolls up as the decider and is like, you're going to do this. And I'm like, what? My head wasn't there. I was thinking about something else. And sometimes I fight against it. And sometimes I push back a little bit. But ultimately, unless it's a hard limit, I do it. I might go kicking and screaming. Let's be honest here. I'm a baby girl.
True baby girl, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I might whine about it. But there is no point at any point in the day you cannot turn and look at me and tell me what to do that ultimately I will not do it. That to me is 24/7. There is no off switch. So for some dynamics, and this is also valid, the only time their DS is behind closed doors in their bedroom, whether they're having sex or not, right? The only time they are DS is during sex. The only time they're DS is if they go to a kink event. And the rest of their life, they literally, it's like an off switch. The dominant partner does not get to tell the submissive partner what to do outside of those parameters. Just doesn't happen. We do not live that life. Then, and the time where we have the friction between us, because it is the only thing that is not governed by our power exchange, is raising the kids and business.
Right.
But, and this is the argument we've had many times, because submission is not what I do, it's who I am. I mean, it's both, but it is who I am. I will defer to him. I will defer to him. And that's where I have to fight my natural instincts of deference, because if I really think that a parenting thing, my way is the way we need to go, that's a harder fight, because I'm fighting myself and I'm fighting him. But my natural reaction is to defer. When we're talking business and So if business was just all my decisions, I would own a brand new camera right now.
Yes.
But one, it's the right thing to actually negotiate these things with your partner and come to an agreement that you can both live with. But two, you want to wait. I defer to that. To me, even in business, the DS does not rule us. I'm always submissive. There is no off button for me.
And see, I guess that's why our views differ a little bit on that, because of the fact early on when we negotiated our relationship, that was one of the first things she said. My work, my job is off limits. So that's kind of why I feel that way. I mean, yes, you are always there. You will do what I ask, but there are certain things that technically are off limits from the dynamic.
Yes, and that is because in a practical sense, you cannot sit down at my desk and tell me how to write a blog post.
I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to.
But you can say things like, are you going to be done at such and such time today?
True.
I'd really like you to be done at such and such time today.
Yeah.
Oh, baby girl, I know you're working. Can I get a cup of coffee? So you still intertwine with my daily work life, even though you have no direct say over the actual work I do, which in almost every power exchange there is, I don't kind of care how high protocol or micromanaged, and yes, somebody in the comments did point out those two are two different things. That you are, when your partner goes off to work, unless you're the boss, you don't get to call up and go, are you doing your job this way? That is sort of the natural part of life.
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to keep going on with my broader point.
Okay. Because see, the getting the coffee is a very good thing. I mean, we don't have the type of structured relationship where at any point during the day I can go to you, I want a cup of coffee now.
You could. You'd get a look.
Exactly. Because I know, especially if you're sitting at that desk over there and you're working, when you're doing what you do, that you do so well, by the way, you can't just stop at any given point and walk away. A lot of what you do, you have to follow through till you get to a point that you can stop, which is why, yes, it's more like, baby girl, when you get to a point that you can stop, I'm ready for coffee.
But here's how this works from my mindset of who I am as a submissive and that we are 24/7. And again, this is just my mindset. Not everybody's going to see it this way. First of all, I appreciate that you either say something like that when you get to a stopping point, I need you to do this, or you ask. You'll actually ask. When will you be at a point where you can do this? Are you at a point where you can do this? I would really like this when you get a chance, blah, 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 right? It's very polite. It's my kind of dominance. There's not a lot of like command issuing kind of thing going on. But because of who I am, I will hurry up. I will get to a stopping point faster than I might. I will bend myself to fit your wants and needs. Now, in a healthy relationship, that's not a problem, because one, I know that you take care of me and my wants and needs, and among other things. And so it's a give and take. Just a word of caution, if you, as on either side of the slash, but speaking from a submissive perspective, if you are twisting yourself in knots to get shit done for your top or dom, and they do not ever bend a little bit to get shit done for you, short of there being like some part of your protocol where maybe that's a part of it, I just want you to be careful. I just want you to take notice. Like, I can go above and beyond for my dominant because my dominant goes above and beyond for me. Not necessarily in the exact same way. We're two sides of a similar coin. We're offering and giving and providing different things, complementary things. But I'll go above and beyond when I know that, one, it's appreciated, and two, that I've got somebody who will, in their own way, at the right time, do the same thing for me. And I think that can be true in any dynamic, an owner-slave, a caregiver, little dom sub, doesn't matter. It's done in different ways. It's expressed in different ways, but you are each giving of yourself and taking care of each other in some complementary way. And so, yes, as a 24/7 sub, you want something, I'm going to do my best to get it to you as soon as I can, even when it quote, interferes with parts of my life that we have deemed off limits to power exchange. Yeah. That's why I say that we are 24/7, even though I have 2 tasks that I do daily: coffee and the bed. Those are the only 2 tasks. That's it. I don't have to ask for permission for a lot of things. We do not follow almost any level of protocol these days. We just don't.
I think for us, where we are at
it's very
right
casual.
Now, it's more casual. I think for the way we both work in the different things that we do, I think that would be too difficult.
I think it would be too. There are times I sort of long for a calmer life where we could have a little bit more structure, but I also have had freedom for so long that I'm really not good with structure anymore.
Sometimes I think maybe that could shift once the boys are grown and out of the house.
Probably.
Yeah.
And also when I'm not working 60 hours a week, that might be helpful.
Yeah.
We're working on it. So that's why I was even saying earlier, in micromanagement, there are times of life where that is just easier to do than other times of life. It's not that it's impossible. I can't imagine high structure with kids and business, but other people can, and they can make it work. 24/7 absolutely can be a massive list of tasks and routines and protocols. And this is how you're going to dress, and this is how you're going to look, and this is, how you will address me, and this is, how we will handle these things, and this is how we'll handle those things. Yes, it can be that way, but it doesn't have to be that way. Especially if you are like us, or me, I might say, and embrace the idea that 24/7 can be a mindset. It's about who you are within that relationship, not always what you do. I think that's really good for beginners to 24/7, because once you have the mindset, the actions become a little bit easier, but also it becomes a little bit easier to go, we can go slow. Let's start with one thing. We talked about that in the patience episode. Just a bad word. I don't like saying it. But it is true. It is true. I can admit that it's true. If you come into your 24/7 dynamic and go, okay, we are 24/7 because we see each other in these roles every day, regardless of what we're physically doing. I know my place in this relationship, regardless of what I'm physically doing. Then you can take your time and slowly add more of the physical stuff, whether it's the kinky fuckery or it's the day-to-day structure. And some submissives crave structure. It's funny, I crave structure, but I get so much structure from my work life at this point that it feels very, it feels too constrictive when you want me to be really structured, because it's like, oh my God, every moment of my day is now structured.
Right.
And I rebel against that. There hopefully will come a time when that is not the case and we can flip, because early in our relationship, there was more structure. Part of this because we were long distance, so we created structure so we knew we could be with each other.
Right. We had a lot more structure, yes, because we had specific times in the morning when we would talk. During lunch breaks, we had specific times. At night before going to sleep, we had specific times that we would chat. So yeah, there was a lot more structure in that time.
Yes. And it's funny because when we first moved in together, we tried superstructure, and I freaked out.
Yes.
I freaked
Big
out.
time.
I was like, what?
To the point that we
took a 2-week break.
We had to take a totally stop
and
any DS and step back.
And here's the thing. I forget about that break. I don't forget about that break because I lived it. I was there. I remember the freak out. But you were always daddy. That's what I'm saying. We've had the conversation before that if the DS went away, what relationship is left for us underneath, that's the thing that lasts, right? So the DS is icing on the cake. I try never to say always or never. So anything is possible, of course. But the power structure could go away. You are still daddy. I am still a submissive person when I'm in a romantic / sexual relationship. That is who I am. So you could say, you don't have to do, we're not doing the bed anymore, and you're not getting my coffee anymore, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, and we'll just keep it to rough sex. Sure. I am still a service submissive underneath it all. I'm still going to take care of you. Like, that's what I do for the people I love. I take care of the people I love. You take care of the people you love. You just do it in different ways. You love being in control. The only time you've ever come close to anxiety was when you felt out of control. Not at home. I did my part. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that all too well. Bad times. But
that's like, we could say that the labels are gone. Mm-hmm. We could say that the routines and the tasks and the rules are gone. But who we are is who we are. And to me, for me, that's where 24/7 lies. That's where it begins. When you... And I don't think some people, it's not like a switch. Some people can't just go, oh, okay, I'm always a dom, and so I just live this life, and that's who I am. I think for some people, it does start with actions. It starts with doing the thing until they get so comfortable with it that it just feels natural. For some of us, it is realizing this is who we are at our core, regardless of what the actions are. It's why I don't feel like I need a lot of rules to live by or tasks to do. Not just because it doesn't quite fit in our life, but because what I really want is to alternate between being overly sassy and kind of making you like growl a little bit. That is fun to me. And also being soft and squishy and going, yes, daddy, whatever you want, daddy. And that's me expressing our dynamic and our power exchange without anything else around it. Now that's, again, like I said at the very, very beginning, that's just one sliver, teeny tiny little sliver on the entire spectrum of what 24/7 can be. Because 24/7 can absolutely include high protocol, where there's very structured, you're going to speak this way, this is your body language, this is how you hold your body, this is how you dress, this is how you do this is how you do that. You move forward into, further down the spectrum into total micromanagement, where every single action and word is dictated on some level by the owner, dom, top. And that, of course, is 24/7, unless, and here's where the two cross streams and are still separate, micromanagement in a kinky fuckery scene. I've been micromanaged in a kinky fuckery scene. I've been told, you will lay here, you will say this, you will do this, you will not move until I tell you. I will do, and every single, other than my response, and even my responses have been controlled. How many times have we gotten kinky and you've been like, I don't want to hear a word, which is really fucking hard when you're a loud person. Thank you very much. So some of us play with micromanagement and just don't even realize that we do it. And it's in those scenes, and it's in those highly structured scenes where a submissive gives up as much control as is humanly possible to give up, and the dominant takes as much control as is humanly possible to take. And that's one type of micromanagement. Yeah. But for some people, for the people who are maybe bedroom only or have that switch where in their mind where they're not 24/7, that's an example of you can do micromanagement and not do 24/7 because you're doing it in your scene. And it's a type, it's not that much different. The outcome is different. Maybe it's about orgasms. Maybe it's about orgasm denial. Maybe it's about sexual pleasure more than anything. But it's all part of the same world. So many of us do play with micromanagement. We just don't realize we play with micromanagement. Just like many of us have the capacity, if it's our desire to do 24/7, but we overthink it. And we think it is, oh my gosh, I have to manage every single solitary thing that my submissive is going to do today. Who the fuck's got time for that? First of all, this guy doesn't have time for it. No. And I don't have the patience for it. Because I'd be like, you want me to what? Well, first I have to do these 5. I have said that before. Yes. When I'm not in my submissive mindset. You want me to what? Well, how about I do these other 5 things first? And then I'm reminded of who's in charge. So there's another thing I will say about 24/7 relationship dynamic and mindset. Nobody's perfect. You will have moments where I know who I am. I am the baby girl. I am the submissive. I am happy in this role. I love this role, but sometimes I got a mouth on me.
Really?
And sometimes that's not where my head is first in a moment. So that's probably another thing that, just for anybody thinking about 24/7, that I would just like to put out there for you. There will be times when you're not so utterly devoted to your dynamic that you just fall into that mindset the moment that the other partner speaks. Like, it just, we're human. It just does not always happen that way. I do feel properly ashamed of myself when I behave that way. It's not a good look. I'm not. That one doesn't get tweeted when I behave that way.
And I do have to say, they are far and few between.
Yes, it's usually in very high stress moments for me. Yeah.
And normally afterwards, you're like, sorry, Daddy.
I know. Yeah, get used to apologizing. The one thing I will say that is similar, and somebody's mentioning it in the live stream chat, that is definitely worth mentioning. Both 24/7, both micromanagement, and everything else within the spectrum. You start with what you think will work, what you'd like to try, what you'd like to get to. One, I will always say, take it slowly, ease into these things as best you can. Don't overwhelm each other, because then nobody wants to do it because everybody's stressed out about it. And then tweak it. And then go, okay, what's working, what's not. Have a constant system of communication. For us, that's just talking. Like, we're in the car. I'll be like, I was thinking about this thing. Or you're getting better at it in the middle of the night when nobody can sleep. I've got something on my mind. Let's talk about it. Okay, I'm here for it. It can be scheduled times to do a check-in of your relationship. It can also be just the moment you see that you have a couple minutes to yourself with no screaming children or, adults in your life who need care, or job, or whatever it is that's got your attention, right? That need your focus. It's the entire relationship is one of constant tweaking. We tweak less these days than we used to, but we'll still play around with different things.
Sure.
For us, it's more these days. It's more in our kinky fuckery where we're playing and tweaking and trying different things. But in your relationship style, the principle holds true. You go in with the idea of what you think you want to do and what you think you want your relationship to look like.
And then you shape it and mold it to what works.
Exactly. And 24/7 on the light end, like us, where it's most of the time is pure mindset, up to really high protocol, really micromanage, owner-slave, like however intense your dynamic is, it does not have to look like anybody else's dynamic.
No.
In no way, shape, or form does it have to look like anything you see online, some FetLife thing you read, the way we talk about it, the way somebody at your munch talks about it. Nope. It's not awful to use those examples as drawing boards. Like, oh, they do that. I really like that thing that they do. I wouldn't mind throwing that in there. Oh, but that couple over there does this. I'd like to try that, and mix and match. Then you try it and you go, okay, that did not work for me. And you throw it out. You are not a failure.
No.
It just didn't work for you.
It's not your fit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is why I know that as much as there are times I would like a little bit more structure, as soon as the rest of my life is a little less structured, I could not do micromanagement. One, I don't have the patience for it. Two, you would stress out.
Most likely,
you absolutely would stress out, because part of my service is reminding him of things. Not just things he needs to do, but things I need him to allow me to do.
Right.
Neither of us could handle him having to remember all the things that I'm supposed to do and me reminding him of all the things I'm supposed to do.
I will freely admit that I am terrible with that. Always have been. And years ago when I had my business, oh my gosh, I did like you. I had a planner at that point, and I would plan out, because of the nature of what I did, I would plan out probably about a month out, and that was the only way I could do it. I had to be that way. Now, since then, especially I've gotten,
Part of it, though, is the way our life looks these days.
True.
You know, I mean, you can only give so much focus to any one thing at any given time. And there are plenty of people, including people listening to us now or who are watching and talking in the chat, who that's where their focus is their relationship. And so they're putting a lot of time and a lot of energy into it. And I love that, because the things that you find now that work for you, as long as they work for your life as your life changes, they'll stay with you because you've put the energy in. And the things that maybe don't work for you, those tend to be the things that drop off the soonest, where you're like, okay, life is changing. Something's got to give. Oh, that thing I didn't really like, we're going to let that go. And yeah, the way it worked for us a few years ago just doesn't work right now. But we are still 24/7. Like I said, for me, it's pure mindset. I don't need my actions to be governed in order to know who I am within the relationship. And I think a lot of people are like that. I'm not saying that, oh, if you have to be told what to do and you're micromanaged, it's the only way you know you're submissive or slave. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there are people who really enjoy and crave and want that structure. And so they will work towards developing it. And then there are those of us who are like, I don't really need it. I don't need it. And that's okay. And so when you're coming into 24/7 and you're nervous, especially if you're the one going, oh my God, every move I make is going to be determined by my dom, or you're the dom and you're like, oh my God, I have to tell this person what to do every moment of the day. No, you want to talk about how you feel about your dominance or your submission and how you feel within your dynamic. Then you do mutually together have to talk about what would you like to do, what would you not like to do, how much structure would you ideally like to have, how much is too much. You won't really know until you get into the thick of things. You won't really know until you put that plan into practice and you're like, oh, that I have to send you a text every single day at exactly 10 a.m. That's not working. Can we tweak that? I'll send you a text every day by blah blah time, right? And that's the beauty of any type of dynamic you have. Okay, whether you're really really relaxed and chill and you barely use titles, all the way up to extremely high protocol, extremely micromanaged. The little s does not make a single move without their partner approving, right? Everything in between, it's all valid. Okay, so when you start thinking about 24/7, if you immediately go to micromanagement to that end of the spectrum, you've skipped a lot in between. You've skipped miles and miles of dynamic in between. And so from our view, and we are just one couple, I think it is safe to say for us, micromanagement is very much about structure and activity and routine and tasks and protocols and every single solitary little thing that you do or don't do. And 24/7, while it can be that, is more mindset. It's more about how you see yourself. It can be as simple as how you see yourself in the relationship. And it does not have to be predicated solely on actions. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. And those two things, the streams cross on all of that, okay? It's not that they're distinctive things. It's all part of the same spectrum. Ooh, and somebody said the best word, and we did a little episode on this, and I'm going to maybe see if we need to update that. And Silent Wing said, structure is nice, but honestly what I really like is the accountability. I'm a hot mess if I'm left alone. Same. I like the accountability too. I don't want the structure, but I want to know that, and maybe maybe I'm thinking of accountability slightly differently. I'm not sure. But I know that when something is going to happen, or I want something to happen or to occur, or I'm planning on something, it's never my decision alone. Everything I do, I'm going to John Brownstone first, and we're going to talk it through. And sometimes it's oh shit, we have to decide together, which means I have to make up my fucking mind. And sometimes it's a daddy, tell me what to do. I don't get enough of those daddy tell me what to do moments anymore. I could use probably a few more. You
used to do that a lot.
I did used to do that a lot.
You don't as much anymore.
No. No, partly because my mind is so wrapped up in things where you can't just tell me what to do.
True.
Because they're business related. So it's more of a, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? And then I defer. Then I defer.
I found that a lot of times, because of the nature of what you're doing and how it has been changing, you use me as, not that I can tell you what to do, but you use me as a sounding board to vocalize things, which helps.
One, I trust your opinion. Two, I know that even when you don't have all of the information, maybe you don't have as much knowledge about a topic as where you could make just a decision, you trust my judgment, and sometimes you're just a really good sounding board. Some people in the live chat are talking about using structure and their power exchange to help with their anxiety, and you don't have to worry about what to do if somebody just tells you what to do. There have absolutely been times where that is how I sort of got through a day, where I didn't it was, I don't have to think about what to do, because if I just do what I'm told, then I can't be wrong. That was how I got through a lot of scenes too, because I had a lot of anxiety about, am I doing the right thing? Am I sexy enough? Am I this enough? Am I that enough? And I finally got to a point where it's like, wait, all I have to do is listen to this dominant partner that I trust, and if they're happy with me, then I'm doing it right. If they don't want me to do something, they will tell me. If this is good, they will say something. And part of that is because that worked for me, and I think that works for a lot of other people. You have to be a partner or have a partner who communicates that, right? Like, they have to be the kind of partner who's like, this is what I want you to do. This is what I don't want you to do. Yeah. You're doing a good job. That needs improvement, right? To be able to give criticism without tearing you down, to be able to tell you when things didn't go quite the way they envisioned without making you a bigger mess than you might have been otherwise. I have hit a point in my life, for right now, knock on wood, my anxiety is not, it's very, very focused on very specific things. And unfortunately, I can't be dommed out of it. I can't just be told, but because he's daddy, right? And he is my protector, my nurturer, all the caregiver things there. When I am anxious about those things, he is the one I go to. I will go to nobody else before I go to him. And there are times would probably be better off talking to other people who like do the work I do or understand it. And I'm like, nope, this is the person I trust. He's going to talk me through it. That's how he helps me as my dom. It's not here, do this, do that. Don't overthink what you need to do, which is, can be a very good, a huge help if you are an anxious person in a power exchange. And it's more of a, here, I'll help you think through it clearly.
Exactly. I was going to say, I'm almost in a sense like your therapist sometimes, because I don't tell you what to do, but I lead you to the decision that is right for you at the time.
Usually in that case, I know what the decision is. I'm just such a fucking anxious mess. I need somebody I trust from the outside to go, have you thought about it this way? And there are very few people in this world I trust that much. And I can trust you that much because of the relationship we've built, because of the communication we have.
Right.
Because we've built the power exchange the way we have.
Because.
So are there clear differences between micromanagement and 24/7 DS? It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Are they all part of the same thing? Yes. Can you do our thing?
All right. Probably should. Okay.
So, okay. We don't know if anybody can even see or hear us. I'm trying to get there. Okay, there we go. The screen seems to be moving again. Hopefully it'll stay that way. Yeah. Sorry, y'all. What I'm trying to get back to is the chat so I can see it. And podcast folks, we love you too. Hopefully everything is working well. Oh, there we go. We'll take it. Okay, yay, you can see us again. Okay. No, we had an internet connection issue while we were live streaming.
There was an orange light on our router box.
Yeah. I'm hoping, we'll talk about this maybe in the bonus section. I'm hoping that when we get an office in our next house, we have dedicated internet in there as well. Okay. If the screen is frozen, but you can hear, you might want to refresh. But if you can hear us, we'll take it, pretend it's like the podcast. So those are our views on the differences between, which really there's not that many differences between them. Mm-hmm. It's all about how you view them. And so if you are worried about 24/7, ignore micromanagement until you decide if you're at a point where you want to do that, because you don't have to.
And some people, Pam mentioned earlier, at that time in her life, it was what she needed.
Exactly.
That's kind of the thing. You have to decide what you need at the time. Mm-hmm. And once it's fulfilled its purpose, then you
move on to something else.
Move on to something else. You change it up to what works for you at that point.
Exactly.
I mean, nothing in this is ever set in stone.
Exactly. And that, I think, is the biggest point. I think it makes sense if you're new that you worry about getting it right away, or are you going to pick the right dynamic for you, or any of that. It's cliche, but it is absolutely a journey.
Yeah.
It is. It's a windy path, too. It's not even a nice straight line. It's we're going to try this, we're going to turn left, we're going to turn right, we're going to stand still for a while. I feel like that's kind of where we're at. We're in a sort of a stasis right now. Things work. We don't really have the bandwidth to expand on a lot of things because we've got other things going on. When we do, we will. So that's that about that. And then we'll do... Oh, no. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about before letting anybody go. Only because I just want to point it out. And I didn't start the podcast /live stream /video with this because I thought I'd go off on a tangent. And maybe I won't. Who knows? I posted a blog post to lovingbdsm.net on Monday. So if anybody goes there now, it'll probably be towards the top. You'll be able to see it fairly easily. Mm-hmm. Where I answered a question that was asked about, can I stop being kinky for my vanilla partner that I love a lot? People have opinions.
a lot of
very strong opinions.
A lot of differing but strong opinions. Yes.
Oh, I don't know. The opinions were very similar, which was hell fuck. Okay. No, I can't stop being kinky for a vanilla partner. I
know I couldn't.
I could not at this point either, nor would I want to.
Yeah.
Before I met you, and while I was seeing my first dominant partner, I kind of made the decision then that any partner I have after that would have to be at minimum a top. And even when we talk about the potential partners I may have in you're poly in practice, I'm poly in theory. Yeah, I have to be topped. It's just, I gotta be topped. And I know that about myself. But I wanted to sort of bring it up because it did create a lot of strong reaction to people. And the way I wrote it was not to tell, I don't give advice that way. I don't tell people, they ask a direct question, I don't give a direct answer. What I ask them to do is to think about it and to answer some questions for themselves, which I hope will then maybe bring up more questions that they can sort of think about. Basically, I'm like, please go be introspective about this for 5 minutes and then decide. Because it is very easy to give advice, but I don't have to live with the outcome of my advice. So I try to be very careful about it. But it was a post that people had thoughts about. It was so funny because the reactions I was getting from Twitter, I could tell that some of the people had not read the actual post. Just for answering the question. I was like, that's cool. That works. I don't care. But yeah, there were a lot of people who were like, hell fuck no, I'm not giving up being kinky for a vanilla partner. I did have one person who gave kind of an answer the way I tend to give answers of, I guess it depends. And it does.
It does, yeah.
It does. So yeah, we do have that on the blog, and I kind of wanted to put that out there because it did. I haven't written a blog post in a while that created a reaction like that. So it will be in the next newsletter that goes out on Friday. If you are subscribed to the Loving BDSM newsletter, you will get to see it that way. But yeah, if you have opinions on that, feel free to go take a look at that. Just like if you have opinions on this topic, you know, the show notes page will have a comment section on Friday. The video has a comment section. Apparently I have to say, like we used to say on the podcast, you are welcome to leave feedback. You are not welcome to be an asshole about it. I forget YouTube is its own place.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people are wonderful, and every once in a while
They are.
There's a rando that just makes me want,
Okay.
yeah. I'm not allowed to rant.
So are we good?
I think so, because anything else I wanted to talk about, I would talk about in the bonus section. But I did want to point out that blog post because there was such a reaction to it. So if you have thoughts, you should go check it out. I will try to remember to link to it in all the appropriate places. Okay. So yes.
Ready?
Vaguely.
All right.
Okay.
Keep it kinky, y'all. What?
I wasn't ready.
What do you mean you weren't ready?
I wasn't ready. I don't know. I had like a wandering thought, and then I wasn't
gave
ready.
you the signal and everything.
For the record, normally when we record /live stream, I'm on my like third cup of coffee. I haven't even finished cup number one.
So you can't get on me about the little blip in the beginning.
Well, what I look forward to is when video watchers come back later and they watch you looking at me and me pointing at the screen while we're in buffer mode and our internet was down. That'll be
all right.
Gold.
You want to try this again?
Sure. I'll try and actually
get it right this time.
I'll try. Yes, we can try.
Yes, okay. Meg, for the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm not a professional. I cut nothing out. Okay, yes.
Ready?
Maybe.
Keep it kinky, y'all.
We'll see you next week. Daddy, can I talk to the crickets, please? Can I talk to the crickets, please?
Yes.
We keep it real around here, y'all. We keep it real around here. Oh my God. Wow. I'm going to blame the live chat on that one. I finally looked down at it and I just got lost in it. Sorry, Daddy. Just left a man hanging. Remember what I was saying about that submissive mindset, not always like being there with you? Sorry, y'all. Okay, I'm good. What do we have for the bonus section? I don't know. I've gone completely off track at this point. I think there was something else. Oh, there was something else. And I'm glad we're doing it in the bonus section because I figure if you're here for the bonus section, you like us well enough that you'll sit through this and not be too annoyed that we keep talking about it, because we're going to keep talking about it. And that is the Patreon membership drive. So we had kind of a stretch goal. We were trying to get to 100 kinky patrons in Cricket Corner on Patreon, patreon.com/KaylaLords. And as of this morning, I believe we were at 105, maybe 106 patrons. So thank you to everybody who has joined us. That now means that we will be doing a giveaway within Patreon for a weapon of ass destruction made by John Brownstone. I've got to figure out the mechanism of that giveaway. That's what I have to do, but the giveaway will happen. For the membership drive, we are giving away goodies to anybody who is an existing member or joins in January. You have through January 31st, basically 11:59 p.m. Eastern, to pledge, and then depending on your pledge level will determine how much of a goodie you get in the mail. And yes, we are shipping internationally because these are small little things, so it's not overly expensive to send across the world. But we've got stickers, and we've got bookmarks, and we've got keychains, and we've got handwritten Proud Cricket note cards that I got. Like, they're beautiful, but I got them, just a handful of them for not a lot of money. So yeah, so that's happening. Patreon.com/KaylaLords. We would love to have you. One of the things John Brownstone and I have to sit down and talk about, especially now that we hit one of a fairly decent money size goal, and the 100 patrons is what we're going to do with those funds. So we're going to get a couple of tools that help us with social media so we can hopefully keep spreading the word. And then the other tool I want to get is meant to help put closed captions on videos. It will be on the shorter videos at first because there's a charge for it. So yeah, those are some of the things in the works. We just have to make them happen. So patreon.com/KaylaLords. If you're a patron, you get access to a live Q&A with us every month. We answer questions from Patreon members. We do a podcast episode once a month just for Patreon. It's basically a bonus section. We tend to talk about what we're doing that's business related. So what is John Brownstone making in the shop? What are we coming out with next? What are some of the ideas we have for Patreon or for whatever we're doing in the podcast? But then when we don't have a lot of that to talk about, we do talk about ourselves because of course we do. Of course we do. And then sneak peeks at videos. You get to watch videos first. It's one of those things that you don't even have to go into YouTube if you don't want to, because you get to see those videos in Patreon. So, whatever. Yeah. You get first announcements at new things we're doing. There's a thing that we're doing. We're doing it. It's happening. It'll happen in February. We're not talking about it until it's official.
Yep.
And patrons will get to know first. So, patreon.com/KaylaLords. Okay. Let's see. The other thing I was going to share, I got a new collar.
Yes.
If you follow me personally, specifically, or us on Instagram at that handle I hate, Loving DS and the number 1, you might have seen a picture of it. On the Loving BDSM Instagram, I did it as a story. On my personal Instagram, Kinky Kayla Lords, there's a picture. But it arrived, and I got to get it after we recorded last week.
Yes.
Which is why I didn't talk about it last week.
Yep. Showed up in the mail right after we finished recording.
Yep. It is a purple lock with a mermaid silhouette on it. And then the chain is silver and purple. It's stainless steel. Yeah, stainless steel. So I can wear it in the shower. And it does lock.
Yep.
And it is from the Bonded Giraffe.
Yes.
They're on Etsy. Yeah. They used to have a site, but apparently that site doesn't work anymore. And I couldn't find them on social media, so I didn't tag them. But the Bonded Giraffe on Etsy. And the what I like about the locks is they have dozens and dozens of designs.
Yes, they do a lot of different.
I mean, the ones I saw that I wanted was mermaids and butterflies. There were fairies.
They had unicorns,
kittens, puppies. Then there was a whole section of different, and they're not just purple, they're whatever colors. There were Marvel things. There were DC things. I saw Iron Man. I saw Captain America. They had sports teams. Whoever in your life would wear a lock and collar, whatever their thing is that they're into, they can probably make a collar for it.
It was well past due to get you something new anyway.
Yeah, we couldn't even unlock the old lock.
I with just prior to the move, lost the key for the other lock. It vanished. I really thought when I pulled my desk out when we were packing, I would find it behind there, but no go. It completely vanished. And a couple times when you had to go for an MRI to your neck, I literally had to take apart one of the links in the chain to take it off of you.
Yep, I almost couldn't get an x-ray to my neck because they were like, oh, you need to be able to take this necklace off. And I was like, no, I cannot. It locks.
They won't let you in the MRI with any
No,
any
and that was a neck MRI when I did that. So, I had the x-ray before I had the MRI, and I was literally putting the necklace up as high as it would go. So then when we scheduled the MRI, I was like, oh, yeah, I have to take this off. So, but yeah, it was a twist the little doolally. So now we have the key, and the key has a special place.
The key was put in a very safe place this time.
Right.
Yep.
So, but I've already put in my request for more of these. And believe it or not, as much as I love purple, I know if you can see me right now, you're shocked by that. I actually also love turquoise teal kind of color, because when you combine that with purple, then it's like a mermaidy, peacocky kind of color and color combination, and I like that. And so I have put in my request for a turquoisey teal kind of bluey one. Yeah. But I'm like, whatever you want to do, Daddy, it's fine. Because I'm so submissive all the time. And in the live chat, I will answer Jennifer's question about being a patron. You just have to make sure that you input your mailing address. So if you sign up to be a patron in January 2020, or if you were already one from before January, you just go into your Patreon settings.
Profile.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the words. Words are hard. I've only had one cup of coffee. And you make sure your mailing address is there. And somebody else did ask, they were like, what if my given name is different than the name you know me as on social media? And I'm like, and they don't want that name to be on their mail. Then you put your legal name and your legal address, and I never mention it to anybody ever. That simple. And all mail, it'll be like in a little envelope. So it's not going to say from Loving BDSM. It might say Kayla Lords and then our address, or JB and our address, but we don't put like Loving BDSM on the envelope either. So it's discreet. What else? What else? Not a lot. I've been working. I got a new big project from an existing client, which is wonderful, which is one reason why we're considering a new camera. We mentioned that to YouTube watchers earlier. But also I'm overwhelmed because I got a new big project from a client, and so it's more work. And I was like, look at me, I was going to do less. But also, we want to buy a house, and I like money.
We're already kind of getting to the point of pre-planning.
Oh my gosh, yes! This weekend I have to do our financial summary for our vanilla tax person, because we got ghosted by our kinky tax person. But I'm not still mad about that. And so far, the vanilla person has been really responsive and really helpful, and has not asked any uncomfortable questions. But if she Googles, there are my boobs, I don't know what to tell her. So, or my ass, or my vulva, or your penis. So, just don't Google is all I'm just gonna say. Anyway, but she's been really responsive and helpful, and so I've got to get all my paperwork together, and I'm gonna do the financial summary of 2019 this coming weekend, and then I'm waiting for the little drips and drabs of all our tax forms to come in, 1099s and stuff like that, and get those over to her. And I have told her no less than 5 times, we really want our taxes done as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. We're trying to buy a house. Thank you very much. So as soon as we get the return and we're told how bad it's gonna be this year, then we can go. Then we can mortgage person.
Yep.
Here are our tax returns for the past 2 years. How much mortgage can we have? So we're doing that, and then of course, yes, our entire life will be consumed by the buying of the house, the moving into the house.
But it won't. It will not. I am looking at it. It's going to be work. Moving and buying a place and moving is always work, but we are not selling this place. We only rent.
Yep.
And it's not going to be any kind of a distance move. It's just going to be a short hop.
Yeah, depending on what's available and what we choose, it could literally be just a couple streets over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, that's going to be fun when I call the movers. Like, okay, I need you to put all of our furniture and boxes into the truck, and then I need you to drive 2 blocks, and then I need you to unload. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm not picking this shit up. I'm budgeting into the plan, hiring the movers, because that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that will be the next thing that we are consumed with. So we'll talk about that ad nauseum as it happens. And mostly what I'm desperate for at this point is just have an office.
Yes.
I really think that, I think we're going to want a dedicated internet connection for the office only.
Yeah.
Because then we don't have so much stuff hooked up to it. And we're going to try and have a permanent setup for video and audio, so it's just set up, and whenever we need to record, we just sit down and it's there. And I'm mostly looking forward to an office with a door on it. Oh, loving it. So yeah. So yeah, that's the next thing on the horizon. And as y'all can probably tell just from the conversations we have, there's always something going on, and it's very hard to like change our dynamic into the middle of that. So we just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and yeah, we're hoping that this is going to be our last move for a long time.
Very long time.
Which is why we, since we've moved here and been renting in this place, we have been kind of assembling a must-have, nice-to-have kind of list.
Yep.
So that way, when we go into this place, it is going to be long-term.
Yeah, the biggest discussion we've been having lately, and we won't know till we see what's available in our price range with everything we want, is are we going to gravitate towards something that's truly move-in ready and doesn't need much work beyond, painting the walls or whatever, versus a place that needs work done to it.
Yeah.
And living this freelance life, I'm gravitating towards the less expensive house that then needs work, because ultimately then the mortgage stays low even after we've done all the work and paid for over the course of years, paid for the work to be done. But also I'd really like to have a pretty house that's just ready to move into. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But housing here is much less expensive than in the Tampa Bay area.
Yes.
So we're going to get a lot more house than we would have been able to afford
there
where we used to live.
Yeah.
And I'm, we're learning some things finally being back in a house instead of being in a condo or a townhome. Because before, so we lived in our condo for 4 years. We rented an apartment, quote unquote, that was really a townhome. Prior to that, for 3 years, I'd lived in a townhome. So I haven't actually lived in a proper house in like 8 or 9 years. So this is the first time, and it's like, oh, these are the things I love about it. And also, these are the things I hate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm it's funny because I'm both ready to be in the process.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to be past the process, because the past now 2.5 years of our life has been centered around doing all of these things so we can buy the house, so we can get moved in, and then we can think of other things. And
right.
I'm at that point now. I'm like, I want to think of other things.
Yes, I know. I'm kind of there with you. I'm ready to be past all this, and it's like it's now
so
this
close.
This final step is so close on the horizon. Yeah, it's like, come on.
That P word is harder to keep in mind.
Yeah,
is much harder to keep in mind. I don't feel like being patient, even though I have to be. Because here's the thing, I'm going to do all that stuff on the taxes, and you have to help me because you've got to give me your information.
Sure.
I'm going to do all that this weekend. Will probably make me want to rip my hair out, and then I will send it on, and I'll go, here, nice vanilla tax lady. I don't call her that to her face. Here, nice vanilla tax lady. And then even though she understands our sense of urgency, we are still a little bit on her schedule, because I don't know who else is scheduled ahead of us. And so I'll be like, fuck. And then, of course, then there's the I did your taxes, here's how much you owe.
Yeah.
I mean, like, can we set up a payment plan on the IRS?
Especially since the person that was supposed to be doing quarterly, so it wouldn't hurt so much, but, Hey.
Yeah, I've got so many thoughts. I will bitch about those in the patron-only podcast, because I have so many fucking thoughts. So pissed off. Also, I will just point out, 2 hours on hold to talk to the IRS the other day in January. Can you imagine what it'll be like in April when everybody's freaking out about getting their taxes filed? Yeah. So we'll talk about that in another time.
And Jennifer, yes, it can be stressful fixing up a house. We went through that with the condo. We were very lucky. We got that condo for a song and a dance.
Ooh, yeah. Cheap.
The one thing we went into it eyes wide open, because the bones of the condo were good. Most of the stuff that we did to it was cosmetic. I think, ourselves, the worst thing that we had to do was rip up the carpeting. Yeah.
Oh, well, we had to replace part of the bathroom because of mold.
Part of the bathroom had to we did find mold in the bathroom, and that had to be dealt with. That was a big surprise. And, yeah, and it's kind of the same thing going into this. It's like, as long as the bones are good,
right.
We don't mind doing some cosmetic work. For me, myself, bathrooms and kitchens are, to me, the most work.
Oh, sure.
And if the bathrooms and kitchen is in good shape, I'm not too, opposed to doing other things here and there as needed.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what's on the market right now in our area, you either have people who put a lot of time and money into updating the house, and they kind of have to. The houses in this neighborhood were built from the 60s and 70s, and so we are now officially in the 20s. So that's an old house, and insurance is an issue, and there's, blah, 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 stuff that has to be considered. So some homeowners put a lot of effort into updating these homes to make them look beautiful. But then, of course, that bumps up the price. And then there are homes that it's hard to tell from pictures alone. You need a home inspection, but the bones appear to be good. Like, these are solid homes. The layouts are really good. There's a lot of potential in them, but they're really dated, and they're really, like, I think the one house that keeps coming to mind, and from the outside I'm like, ooh, this might be, if it's still available in 6 weeks time or so, this might be nice. But like, every room is wood paneling. And I'm I'm taken back to my 80s childhood with every room being wood paneling.
That's when a good number of these houses were built around here in the 70s and 80s, and that was
and
the thing.
60s,
and some of the wings, I agree with you. Plumbing is the worst. I am not good at plumbing. I have tried my hand at plumbing, and it's not for me. No, not for me at all.
So I'm glad our crickets love us, whether you're on Patreon loving us or you're just here loving us, because this is what has been consuming our lives and will continue to consume our lives. We'll be buying the house, fixing the house, moving into the house, living in this new house. Let's talk about the house. So I'm glad we have the bonus section, because sometimes I think I would burst if I couldn't just like bitch for 10 minutes about something. But also I think we would be very boring if this is all we talked about.
I know.
But it is exciting. I'm ready to like move to the next stage of it. I mean, it has been kind of nice to just get settled. We moved it late May 2019. We're now in mid-January, basically. 2020, it's 7 months. Numbers are hard, y'all. Numbers are hard. It's several months. And it's been nice to not really think about it. But every day I sit down at my desk, which is an actual desk size, and it's in a decent sized corner. Every day now I'm like, but an office with a door. I want an office with a door. And there's so many steps from this moment to having an office with a door I can shut that it's like, I just want to get through it. Through it. Yep. So, but I'm also looking forward to, like I said a little bit ago, being past this point and focusing on other things. Like, what are we going to do with our lives when we're not thinking about this anymore?
Right?
I don't know. So I think that's it.
That it?
I mean, I could keep talking, but we're not going to keep talking. I mean, we could. Y'all know we could. Thank y'all for putting up with the buffering streaming issue if you were watching on YouTube. There is, because I won't get cut out of the video. I don't know if I get cut out of the audio, but there will be a bonus for anybody who watches later. We'll know you watched through to nearly the end if you watch to the point where I'm making faces at John Brown's while the video crashes on us. Because it was not my submissive face.
No,
I don't even think it was my baby girl face. It was my boss lady face of it's not fucking working.
I think someone has a question.
If we can, I mean, if it's a fairly quick question, if it's really involved, I might defer it to another time. But RCH, if you have a question, feel free. And Jennifer did ask a question about Patreon. If you are an existing Patreon, so you came in before January, you will have to go back into your profile of Patreon and give us your mailing address if you did not do that when you signed up, because we have a mechanism to take mailing addresses from new signups. Like, it auto asks that, but because that's a new thing, we could not retroactively do it. So, the live chat has been really active today. So if you are listening or if you're watching later and you ever get the opportunity to dip in even just for a little bit to the live stream, highly recommend it. Not just because we'd like to have you here, that would be lovely, but because there's a there's always a lot of conversation.
Yes.
Going on. And there were several people in the chat who were sharing their experiences with micromanagement. So that's the really nice thing when we talk about a topic that we're going to give you a little bit of information that's not based on our experience.
Mm-hmm.
You get it for and the next our live streams on Patreon are the first Saturday of every month.
Right.
The podcast on Patreon, sorry, y'all, I'm answering questions that are showing up on the live stream. Our podcasts on Patreon are at some point within the month. We are going to try and get better about having a date. We will drop those each month, but it's a once a month. It just comes out at some point. The question we received, he set rules that he didn't actually like, and now he hates me. Is this common? There's some miscommunication going on.
Mm-hmm.
So no rules get set, should get set without the two of you talking about them, negotiating them, working it out between you, what you're comfortable with. And then if something does not work and one of you is unhappy, it's time to sit down and talk about why you're unhappy.
Have a serious talk.
And if that means that you stop doing something or you modify it, then that's what you do. But if one partner is getting to the other point where they resent or dislike or unhappy with a partner because of the power exchange you have, that's indicates a serious lack of communication on their part.
Right.
They're not talking about how they feel.
Especially
about
if it's rules that they set and now they're unhappy. That's
Is it common for resentment to build and for miscommunication to happen? Yes. If we're talking hate, which is to me a very strong word, I wouldn't call that common, but I would say that the two of you are long overdue for an airing of grievances and I don't like this and I don't want to do that. And because there is often the feeling that once you start a way, you can't stop and you can't, go, ooh, I thought I would like this and I don't like that. And that's not true. But if they are not telling you, we need to sit down and have a conversation because I'm unhappy with something, then you may need to be the one to go, we need to sit down and have a conversation because something is going on and this is not sustainable.
That's not, definitely need to sit down, have a very deep and in-depth conversation on that one. That's really what you need to do.
And based on what's being described in the live chat that the person did, that's bad. Those are red flags. Left and right.
Ben called that one.
If they call you names and they block you because they're upset with you, that's an indication of a lot of issues that have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And you might want to block back and go, well, that was a lesson.
Yep.
And that's my off the cuff, non-gentle advice of run in the other direction, because if that's how they handle things, that's who they are in that moment. That doesn't mean they can't change later, but that's who they are in the moment, and you don't have to put up with that.
Yep.
Because if you can't have a conversation like an adult about the thing that is upsetting you, and you're not willing to, and you do childish things like ghosting and blocking, massive red flags.
Yes.
Massive red flags. Yep. And I would not say that it's not normal, because sadly that is quite
unfortunately
normal.
It does, yes, but
it's not acceptable, and it doesn't have to be accepted.
No,
you don't have to put up with that shit.
Nope, not at all.
On that note, we are going to go.
Yep.
Anybody who's interested in things like the Q&A and patron-only podcast and that kind of stuff, patreon.com/KaylaLords. We will still be talking about it come February, but not in the depth that we're talking about it now. So I promise the day is coming. We won't talk about it quite as much. So we'll go. We still have another video to record.
Yes.
I need another cup of coffee.
Yes.
So you're going to go for number 4?
Maybe.
He's going to go for number 4. Thank you for putting up with technical difficulties and ramblings and us not actually always agreeing. I mean, we weren't like fighting. We just didn't agree on how.
We're loud.
What? We're supposed to be in lockstep on everything. We are of one mind. It's hive mind around here. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, you will not be assimilated.
No, you will be assimilated. I've been working on this for years now.
Oh, you're no.
I mean, you're rebelling with that damn skull cap thing on, but
I'm not the cutest of Borg, okay?
gonna go now. We love you guys. Thanks
for joining us.
Hanging out with us.
Yep, we love having you all here.
Chatting. Yeah, and somebody's Aunt Sue's cake makes knows what's up. Don't get me started on fake
That's
doms.
right.
I can rant about that.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can't rant about
Yes.
Okay, we love you guys.
We love you.
Will see you next week. Bye. And I will continue to cut John Brownstone off when he's speaking because that's what I do. It's our kink.